In some of the larger companies, as well as in a startup, the first sort of instantiation of some type of static analysis tool typically is something that's open source, off the net, and it works. It works to a limited set of capabilities. But as you start scaling, as you start looking at the number of false positives, it becomes clear that the investment to actually put in something that's what I would call carrier grade or really enterprise level grade actually has a very high ROI. And I think, as I've seen in previous companies I've worked at, as well as in our startup in Pelican, we're actually making that transition because the ROI is so high, and our customers are also demanding that level of quality. One of the key things when we look at Coverity to deploy, whether it be at a startup or at one of my larger companies that I've worked for in the past, was actually quite an extensive evaluation period, comparing Coverity against other tools, both in terms of the technology as well as the integration and implementation into the environment. At some of the previous companies I've worked at, they've had well-established products, well-established processes, and yet I want to introduce a new tool to 20,000 engineers. That is a hard thing to do. Engineers and processes, by their nature, try to standardize things, and introducing a new standard always has challenges. What we found that when using Coverity compared to a number of the other tools, we found it certainly much more effective at lowering the number of false positives, as well as I think another piece that's absolutely critical is actually the integration and partnership that we had with Coverity at introducing this into a very large code base of 10, 20 million lines of code. It was a very interesting process, both from how you manage engineers, how you manage release, how you manage product to get it in place, and I think we had a very successful rollout of Coverity in that environment. As I moved to a startup environment, even though it's much smaller, all the same issues are there. They're just at a different level and a different level of pace. And I think both the tooling and the partnership is really what makes a great implementation and a great cost savings as well as TTM for the company.